Jenny, you have a tremendous love of sheep, and sheep, I think, can tell us an awful lot, really, in life. And Jesus used the analogy of sheep to describe to people what he was trying to get across, and it was very powerful and very meaningful. So your interest in sheep, Jenny, is?
I've always liked sheep since a child, and I spoke a few months about sheep and listening to the shepherd's voice and how Yows and Tups, Eric, Ray, where have you gone? Yows and Tups, get to recognise their shepherd's voice. In fact, you saw some sheep that even recognise a tractor.
Yeah, a year, 10 or 12 years ago, I was rebuilding a wall at Ladycross behind the chapel, and obviously, as most people know, the main road goes right around the corner there and everything, and there was cars, lorries, everything going past all day, there's traffic. But if Julian Stanbury came down the road with his tractor, the sheep all came running down across the field because they knew he got their feed.
Yeah.
And that tractor didn't sound a lot different than any of the others, really.
But yeah, they spent a lot of time with their shepherd, and they recognise the voice of his tractor as well as his own voice as well. My love of sheep has grown to actually making products out of their fleece, and it makes me quite sad that fleece these days is worth so little. I think at the moment it's about 34.8 pence a kilo on average, which doesn't even cover the shearing, and that's quite sad. Very sad. And actually, when you look at a fleece, when you first get it, and it's filthy, and it's greasy, and it's full of poo and brambles and gorse and everything else that sheep like to live in, it doesn't look a lot of use. But with some quite hard work, it can be made really, really clean. It takes a while to pick all the stuff out of it. The agriculturalist, David and I call it. Get all of that out of it, and it needs to be scoured, and it needs to be washed lots of times, and it needs to be dried, and it needs to be brushed. And eventually, out of that smelly grease comes out something as clean as that. This is out of Jenny Worth's sheep. Yeah. We might have some pictures of, this is a picture of these rovings, and also I think there's a picture of her sheep as well. Jenny keeps very pampered sheep. They are some of the cleanest sheep I've ever had to work with, which is great. We spent a lovely afternoon in her field rugby tackling sheep whilst I chose which fleeces I wanted. We managed to get a fair few of them in the barn, but they still needed a bit of rugby tackling, and I'd got my pair of scissors, and I'd snip a bit off and check the staple and see if it was strong and long and so on. Yeah, I'll have that one, blue dot on the head, so it didn't damage the fleece. And every single sheep I chose, which will not surprise any sheep farmers here, was either a wether or a ewe that hadn't bred that year, because they have the best fleeces. No stress, you see. No stress. So I spent a long time cleaning that fleece up and whatever, and then I put it into a mill, a natural fibre company on Pennygillam Estate, and it comes back months later, because it takes quite a long time, like that, and then I can make stuff out of it. So the main thing I make out of it is rugs. So this one's made out of Cheviot sheep and Jacob sheep. Interesting, when you blend brown and white from Jacob sheep, you get grey. Weird, isn't it? But that's what you get. But last Sunday, Liz was, amongst her sermon, she was talking about a verse from Isaiah 1:18, I think it is, and it says, "Though your sins are as red as scarlet, they should be white as snow, and though they are as crimson, they shall be as wool," which is a bit of an odd verse. The first bit we get really well. It'd be white as snow. Isn't that wonderful? You know, that in God's sight we can be as clean as snow. You know, on the rare occasions we get snow and it's pristine and you know, before anybody goes on it, and to think that we could be that clean is fantastic. But then the next part of it, though your sins be as crimson, they shall be as wool. And of course that's the process from that grubby, dirty, worthless fleece actually becoming this beautiful, clean wool. And that bit kind of really spoke to me, because I'd not sort of read that bit about the wool, but having worked with wool, it kind of leapt out at me as Les was speaking about it. I mean, you know, I've spent many an afternoon, and more afternoons now, in a barn with a load of greasy fleece, sorting it out from one sack into another to try and get it, you know, ready for the mill. And one of the things I find interesting is that it's quite easy to pick out the big bits, like brambles and gorse and so forth. It's the little tiny bits that the fleece, as the mill say, the fleece hangs on to the tiny bits. The tiny bits of grass seed and scour are really hard to get out. And I thought sometimes, yeah, we might think that, you know, our fleece, if you like, looks pretty good. It looks cleaner than lots of others that we know. But actually, when you get down into it, there are little tiny bits that we hang on to. And they actually, those little insidious bits, you know, maybe complaining, maybe whinging, maybe gossiping, maybe point scoring, that don't look quite as obvious as cheating and stealing and so on. But those are the bits that our dirty fleeces hangs on to, and, you know, we need to offer ourselves to be completely washed clean. Thank you.
I'll give you 6 minutes. But we will go on a bit longer.
That's fine. That's fine.
No, that's wonderful, Jenny, and the illustration of what can be done with the wool. Do you know, wool has taken a dive in the last 50 years. I mean, a lot of people, a lot of cities were built because the wool traders made an awful lot of money. And I can remember when I left school, the flock of sheep, basically the wool paid the rent. It's just so different now from what it was then. But is there anything else you wanted to say? Because you were on a roll. And
no, I went for the 6 minutes exactly.